perhaps the most famous painting in the world, the Mona Lisa. Paintings of this enigmatic lady have appeared over the last 500 years. The theory of there being two Mona Lisas by Da Vinci has been long contested.
所以我们今天要讲，这张是500年来第一张23岁的年轻的蒙娜丽莎。
These paintings have inspired deep emotions,
我一定要标到这张画。
sparking intense debate.
There are lots of rumors and lots of claims.
A collector deeply obsessed with his new Mona Lisa is on a mission.
You see, this lady is alive.
To uncover its mysteries,
We're getting some extraordinary visions of what lies underneath.
and reveal new insights about her creator.
We can talk about Leonardo without talking about Mona Lisa.
It has been described as the most visited, the most talking about, the most written about, the most sung about, and the most parodied work of art of the entire world.
We're talking about her, the Mona Lisa. After over 500 years of existence as a deceivingly simple portrait of a woman, she still holds the most seasoned connoisseur spellbound in her presence.
When I look at the original, I'm really moved. She's in the universe. What I see is a portrait of a young woman smiling at the world.
Sitting in the Louvre in Paris, behind several inches of bulletproof glass, up to 10 million people every year still flock here to pay their homage and take their selfies. But there isn't just one of her. Many more Mona Lisas have sprung up in private homes and museum collections, waiting to be identified. Here in the capital of Taiwan, Dr. Frank Huang is the chairman of the 8th largest semiconductor foundry in the world. But his true passion lies in collecting art.
You see, this lady is alive.
有一天我有点累嘛，我就坐在我的办公室的沙发，书拿出来拍卖，所以很翻拍。哎，我一看啊，这个是蒙娜丽莎嘛。他讲这张画哦，他的拍卖的书上面讲，这张画是意大利的 family。中国人哦，这个叫做你跟这张画有缘分哎，我一定要标到这张画。我的目标我就是要 beat everybody off， 我就是要这张画。 虽然我不知道那张画是不是达文西 ，but I think I like it。开始可能有 bid 到30几万剩下3个，然后到了100万以上就剩下2个人，我就拼嘛，200万我也拼了。我标到160万美金，很多钱，但是呢，我觉得值得嘛。说这张画这么漂亮。 比照蒙娜丽莎更漂亮。
He believes that his new acquisition is the youngest looking Mona Lisa in the world. It joins his already impressive collection.
This is a very nice Renoir. You see, the color is so contrast. Compared to Monet's color, it's more shiny. When I was a kid, I was learning how to painting. Then I just appreciate. But when I make some money, now I can afford to buy the painting.
我的收藏是几乎至少每一个 Impressionism 一张画。
But amongst the greatest of European artists, Frank has an unwavering favorite.
我看过所有的伟大的那个素描画家 ，Raphael 啦、Michelangelo 啦，还有这个什么鲁宾斯啦，这个 Rembrandt 啊，这个都是最出名的 Goya， 他们都是最伟大的画家。可是他们就是没有达芬奇这个就是创意的本事。
He was that incredible polymath. I was a very young girl standing in front of Leonardo's machines at the museum in Vinci. So this is the first incredible and amazing memory.
Sarah is a university professor and co-editor-in-chief of Leonardo Studies at Brill Publishing. After all this time, she is still not tired of her research pursuit.
I continued to study Leonardo after so many years, just because that special thrill to discover something new about Leonardo.
Leonardo da Vinci was the Italian Renaissance man behind works that have become globally iconic. But his greatest masterpiece that he spent the last 16 years of his life painstakingly working on, he never even finished. He painted what is called the Mona Lisa between 1503 and 1519, when he passed away. Since his death, the Mona Lisa, that we now see in the Louvre, has passed through many hands and collected many mysteries. Historians speculate that it was first given to his apprentice Salai, then bought by King Francis I of France. Almost 300 years later, it hung on the walls of Napoleon's bedroom, before it eventually found its way here, to the Louvre. Along the way, she's also been copied, vandalized, stolen, and returned. And yet, for most of that time, no one even knew for certain the real name of the lady in the portrait. But do we even know who her creator, Leonardo da Vinci, was? Martin Kemp is regarded as the world's leading Leonardo expert, but is still intrigued by this question. A distinguished art historian and emeritus professor at the University of Oxford, he has written several books based on what Leonardo left behind.
There is a very odd aspect of Leonardo. We've got thousands of pages of notes, and there's almost nothing personal. Michelangelo wrote complaining about everything from the spiritual life of his soul to the quality of cheese in Rome. And we have this very vivid picture of this man's emotional life. With Leonardo, almost nothing. Once Leonardo gets his hooks into you, it's difficult to escape. You know, if he's thinking about how does water move, how does light move, how substances move and behave. So I became very seduced.
While Leonardo continues to fascinate us, certain aspects of his life remain a mystery.
He guards his own emotional privacy very strongly, which means it probably comes out in the paintings. They're full of mystery, they're full of ambiguity, they're full of things we don't know.
Leonardo has captivated collectors of art ever since he began honing his craft. While alive, his work was sought after by aristocrats and royalty. And over 500 years later, they still command eye-watering prices. In 1994, Bill Gates paid a record-breaking $30.8 million for a Leonardo Codex. And in 2017, Leonardo's Salvator Mundi became the most expensive artwork ever sold at auction. To understand how Leonardo da Vinci became the greatest of all time, we have to go more than 500 years back in time.
Leonardo came to Florence for the very first time in 1466 at the age of 14. Florence is special because it is connected to Leonardo in so many ways. Florence is the place when Leonardo started to paint the Mona Lisa.
One of the most important recent discoveries about his life is kept here. The Florence State Archives, where medieval documents are carefully preserved. They contain revelations that have only been unveiled within the last century.
This is an incredible document discovered in 1931 by a famous scholar of Leonardo, Emil Müller, where Antonio, Leonardo's grandfather, recorded his birth. Antonio wrote that his son, Ser Piero, had a firstborn child named Leonardo with a young girl named Caterina. In Vinci, on April 15 in 1452.
The document also revealed that Caterina, Leonardo's mother, was a slave girl, and that Leonardo's birth was out of wedlock.
So he's born illegitimate. This was very common, but it cut off certain professions.
How did he go from less than ideal beginnings to becoming the world's most sought-after artist and painting the world's most famous painting? Leonardo was born into the early Quattrocento period of the Renaissance in the 1400s.
We know very little about his childhood. He's living with the grandfather and the uncle Francesco in Vinci. So either he or his father saw the prospect of somebody who could obviously draw well naturally.
The Italian Renaissance was an incredible period in Italy between 14th and 16th century.
It was a passage from the Middle Ages to modernity, when the study of music, art, philosophy, science, and technology exploded across Europe. The intense artistic and cultural productivity made the bounds of human potential seem limitless. Italy was then the recognized European leader of the Renaissance, and Florence was at the center of this boom. Constructed during that period, the Uffizi Gallery houses some of the most recognizable Renaissance works.
Standing in front of these masterpieces gives an incredible sensation to be closer and closer to Leonardo.
3 paintings give us a privileged look into the growth of Leonardo's artistic genius. The earliest is a peek into his life at 14 years old.
We are looking at the Baptism of Christ made by Andrea Dicione, known as Il Verrocchio.
Verrocchio was one of the foremost artists of his time, and one of his apprentices was Leonardo. It is believed Leonardo even posed for Verrocchio's seminal sculpture, David.
This is a work of collaboration among Verrocchio, the master, and some other pupils. And Leonardo may have executed that beautiful angel. Some sources describe that angel just like the most beautiful feature of all the painting.
The Baptism of Christ was the first example of Leonardo's early talent, which had begun to reveal itself in subtle but profound ways. But his genius would soon be more fully expressed in a major piece that would be attributed solely to him, painted in his early 20s.
This is about 28 years before the Mona Lisa. And it's a very interesting painting because we can observe the relationship between Leonardo and nature. In the background, there is that beautiful atmospheric landscape, just like the landscape that we can observe in the Mona Lisa background.
As Leonardo started developing his relationship with nature, his next piece would be even grander in scale, but left unfinished.
And here we are in front of the Adoration of the Magi. Leonardo is depicting the theme of the Magi and also the adoration of the Virgin Mary and the Child. It was commissioned for the Church of San Donato in Scopeto here in Florence, but this commission was never given to the church. This is the last painting that Leonardo painted here in Florence.
Leonardo abandoned this final piece and moved to Milan in 1482 to serve the Duke Ludovico Sforza. It's here that his paintings would take on his signature style, one that unified his knowledge of science and art, and showed itself most clearly in the Mona Lisa.
Leonardo knew some medieval science, so he got this vision of the world driven by mathematical law. Leonardo was a man who knew how to exploit what was known better than anyone else.
The influence of math and science on Leonardo is clear from what he left behind. It is believed he completed less than 20 paintings in his lifetime, but created thousands of sketches with intricate notes, all connected to his scientific obsession. A peek into these meticulously preserved pages, compiled into codexes, reveal another side of Leonardo.
We know that he dissected about 30 corpses.
Nobody is doing something like the dissection of the 100-year-old man. Tiny sketches of working of heart valves, just beguiling and extraordinary.
He believed that the body of the man could be compared to the machines.
我是医学院学生嘛，达文西画的解剖的画，我们医学院学生有时候还要看他的东西。他很在乎说，我们画一个人的皮肤的时候，能够把下面的血液显示出来。这个是只有他唯一的 skill， 他的技术。所以综合起来，达文西有很多比较 creative， 我们英文比较创意的画法，这个是别的画家没办法。
And Frank believes that his version of the Mona Lisa contains this similar quality.
这一张画里面有所有的达文西要几个特殊的画法，这阴影明亮法就是他把阴影跟明亮弄得很清楚。最重要、最出名的叫做 Sfigmomito， 就是剑云画，就是这样一层一层的哦。这张照片上是可以显示皮肤下面的血液流出来，这个是超级技术。我看过10几个画家，最出名的没有人画得出来，只有达文西。
Leonardo was obsessed with human anatomy. Through his dissections and observations of muscular systems, bones, skeletons, and organs, Leonardo began to see nature as something that could be distilled to its scientific core.
Virtually every area he tackles, he sees as having a scientific base. And the one thing that motivates always his study in nature is the look for order. The substances for us are different things. Drapery and water are different. For Leonardo, they're part of a living pattern of nature.
This ability to analyze the natural world led Leonardo to a new technique, one that completely deviated from the artistic norms of his time. Egg was the medium of choice for most painters then, to bind pigments together into a fast-drying paint. The results were very precise, with an opaque plaster-like quality in human skin.
What Leonardo did is pick up oil paint with its glazes. What oil painting allowed him to do is to paint with light. These elusive layers of translucent glaze one over another. And it allows him to create these misty backgrounds. He explores how we see at different distances according to the light and the moisture in the air. This is called Leonardo's sfumato.
Sfumato, meaning to evaporate like smoke. This technique is still being used by artists today to depict an unprecedented level of realism in all its elusiveness and depth. It was revolutionary during the Renaissance and earned Leonardo his enduring name as a pioneer in artistic innovation. Leonardo's most famous creation combined this groundbreaking technique with his love of nature, which sheds some light onto why she is so revered.
The Mona Lisa is extraordinary. It's the culmination of him trying to get everything he knows about visual things into a painting. Atmosphere of draperies, rocks, lakes.
The smile of the Mona Lisa is the most iconic detail of the painting, of course. The smile will be forever a mystery.
In the Mona Lisa, there's this perpetual elusiveness of certainty. It's a very complicated thing.
And it would only be centuries later that the world would be able to confirm the name of this elusive lady. Dr. Frank Huang is a Taiwanese semiconductors tycoon and art lover. He's recently added a painting of the Mona Lisa to his collection.
Compared to Mona Lisa in Paris, people think this is much prettier.
Frank is adamant this is a second Mona Lisa painting by Da Vinci and not a copy.
我一步一步才越来越分。我现在在想说，这张画这么漂亮，比照蒙娜丽莎更漂亮，那是谁画的？我也一直在想这个问题，但是越来越看不对劲哦。
He has been consumed by the identity of the lady behind his painting and how close she might have been to the original.
There was quite a lot of speculation as to who she was, that people felt that a grand painting required somebody important.
Some scholars have proposed other names: Costanza d'Avalos, Pacifica Brandani, and also Isabella Gualanda.
In 2005, a massive discovery would come to thrill the art world. At Heidelberg University in Germany, a scholar was cataloging an edition of Cicero's letters, a Roman statesman and philosopher, and found on a page an almost imperceptible line of annotation.
And this note states that Leonardo was at that time in 1503 in Florence, and he was painting the Mona Lisa.
The note explicitly mentioned the name of the sitter, and the date could be cross-referenced with earlier documents. So the long-debated question of who the real Mona Lisa was could finally be answered.
The real Lisa was Lisa del Giocondo, her unmarried name, Gherardini, a very distinguished historical family.
Scholars then traced the commissioner of this painting to be Lisa del Giocondo's husband, the merchant Francesco del Giocondo, who wanted a simple portrait of his wife. Ironically, this straightforward work-for-hire portrait turned into the world's most famous painting.
Leonardo is meant to be doing the great battle scene for the Florentine Republic, and he does this portrait of a bourgeois Florentine woman of interest to her family, but of no other historical importance.
While the portrait of Lisa del Giocondo hangs in the Louvre, the subject's face has surfaced in unexpected places. Taiwanese art collector Frank Huang has his own version of how the world's most famous painting got commissioned and delivered.
我们这个画 ，Francisco Gioconda 的太太，他邀请他来画这个画，所以 historical 讲起来，其他很多都是猜测的，只有这一个部分是确实的，所以我相信这张画还是 Lady Gioconda， 就是 Francisco Gioconda 为他太太画的，请达文西来画这张画，这一部分我是比较确定的。
He's developed a personal theory about its origins, one that would challenge current historical consensus.
这个是 Lady Gioconda 23岁的 Lady Gioconda， 这一次很重要。假设有这一张年轻的Lady Gioconda， 我们没有人看过，所以我们今天要讲这一张是500年来第一张23岁的年轻的蒙娜丽莎显示出来。各位可以从这里到这里，从这里到这是完全一模一样，眼睛、眼神、风趣也一模一样。如果把这个 Lady Gioconda 换成蒙娜丽莎，你看看还是一样，只是她是胖了一点。OK， 好，再下一张。那如果把蒙娜丽莎换成 Lady Gioconda， 也是可以 fit， 就是说它的尺寸完全一模一样。这个是很困难的。我们要上去再把这个 Lady Gioconda 在下面这个扫描，两个 overlap 比较，几乎是完全一样。500年前没有这个照相机，没有 copy machine， 什么都没有，你要两个这么精准。我这句话是要证明说，这个只有达文西做得到，别人没办法做到。有很多专家来看我给他看的画，每一个人画说这张画画得非常漂亮，虽然不一定说大家认为是达文西，不是他们问题。
So could there actually be a painting of the 23-year-old Lisa del Giocondo? The theory of there being two Mona Lisas by Da Vinci has been long contested, but championed by a vocal minority, like the journalist Léon Roger Milles and Professor Jean-Pierre Isbouts, who cite the fact that two versions of the same painting would sometimes emerge from Leonardo's studio. Frank is not alone in his ownership claims. The Mona Lisa Foundation also believes that an international consortium owns a Da Vinci original of a younger Lisa del Giocondo. But so far, there is no conclusive evidence to prove their claims, so it remains a mystery.
Ultimately, you'd need something pretty strong. It's very difficult to anticipate what evidence would be conclusive, but you really require some pretty extraordinary documentation. To have this volume of pretty early copies of a non-famous person is very remarkable.
They started to appear, in fact, in the 16th century and until the 20th century.
A portrait of the wife of a wealthy trader became a global icon, still being reimagined today, attesting to the painting's ability to fascinate even 500 years later. But experts knew little about the earliest commissioned copies and the secrets they hold until now.
Technical analysis has improved enormously. One time there were X-rays, there is now infrareds and the ultraviolets, and we can get out underdrawings and so on.
From Mona Lisas in private collections to those in the public eye for centuries, technology can help reveal secrets behind these replicas, like their age. And some have rocked the world of Leonardo's scholarship, most recently, one in Madrid.
We're getting some extraordinary visions of what lies underneath.
The Prado in Madrid is Spain's most important national art museum, housing the country's royal collection from centuries past. In 2012, something extraordinary happened here. The Prado's version of the Mona Lisa had been part of Spain's royal collection since 1666, but little was known about it.
Antes de 2012 siempre se pensó que era un pintor anónimo e incluso pues, se pensó que podía ser un pintor del siglo XVI.
In 2012, Almudena's team took on what seemed like a simple restoration job to remove the painting's old varnishes, in preparation for an exhibition with the Louvre.
Una vez eliminados estos barnices, se recuperaba de una forma muy notable el volumen de las telas, la transparencia de los velos y sobre todo los tonos originales de las carnaciones.
Before, the background of their Mona Lisa had looked like this. A radiographic test revealed a mysterious light zone sitting beneath the black.
Abriendo 3 pequeñas ventanas en los bordes del cuadro, a través de las cuales pudimos ver 3 fragmentos del paisaje que estaba ocultando este fondo negro.
The Prado's team peeled away the black overpaint to reveal their Mona Lisa sitting against a striking blue landscape.
Cambiaba totalmente la dimensión de la obra.
But further technical analysis revealed even more secrets that she was concealing.
Una de las pruebas determinantes fue la reflectografía infrarroja, que nos mostraba el dibujo subyacente. Nuestra sorpresa fue encontrarnos que coincidían todos los cambios, las correcciones y todos los gestos que iba realizando Leonardo en su dibujo, incluyendo los elementos que dibujaba Leonardo en su obra y que no incluyó en la superficie pictórica, como las líneas internas del vestido. El autor de la Tabla del Prado había seguido al maestro en todos sus pasos, desde el principio hasta el final. No podemos hablar de una copia más. Es la obra que realiza un artista que trabaja junto a Leonardo.
And who could have been the person painting this alongside Leonardo?
Bueno, el artista que más barajan los historiadores y estudiosos de Leonardo es Salai, el discípulo que más tiempo pasó a su lado.
This discovery gave invaluable insight into how Leonardo's studio operated.
Leonardo's workshop is rather surprising. It's quite a production line, which doesn't correspond with our notion of him as an isolated, solitary genius ploughing his own field.
Instead, Leonardo was surrounded by artist apprentices who would take components of his paintings to use in their own work.
For instance, the drawing for the head of St. John the Baptist and the Louvre Virgin of the Rocks is flipped over, pricked through to another painting.
Since multiple versions of the same subject would sometimes emerge from his workshop, some also believe that there are other Mona Lisas, painted by Da Vinci himself.
There are lots of rumours and lots of claims, particularly the Isleworth one, which is now owned by the Mona Lisa Foundation in Geneva.
Discovered in the early 20th century in Somerset, England, this younger-looking Lisa has fueled fierce debate. While some maintain that this is Leonardo's painting of a younger Lisa del Giocondo, possibly for an earlier commission, notable art historians refute that it was painted by Leonardo, being stylistically and materially different. So far, there is no conclusive evidence that Da Vinci painted any other painting of Lisa del Giocondo. But Frank Huang has his own theory, that Da Vinci did complete and even delivered a portrait of a 23-year-old Lady Gioconda to the commissioner, Francesco, the very painting he owns.
很多历史学家就说达文西把画带走，没有给Gioconda family 那个画，这个画是有错误的。为什么？也没有根据，因为他是在Gioconda family每个礼拜2天或3天拿出来画完就换到他家嘛，他不可能拿走的，这是确定。然后在意大利，你也不可能拿了人家的钱画画，你不交货。
Could Da Vinci have actually finished and delivered a painting of the 23-year-old Lady Gioconda to her family over 500 years ago?
而且以达文西的父亲跟九官方面，他不可能不交货的。
Records have proven that failure to deliver commissioned art was common in Renaissance Italy.
Leonardo was caught up in patrons' complaints. Francesco del Giocondo saying, come on, get on with it quick.
Indeed, Leonardo left Italy in 1516 for France, never to return. This is Amboise in central France, Leonardo da Vinci's final resting place and home for the last 3 years of his life.
We are here in the Loire Valley. It's a place of legacy. Leonardo da Vinci was born in Tuscany, but at the end of his life, he was invited by the king to live in France.
At the time, Leonardo was living in Rome, but his benefactor had died, leaving him broke.
When the invitation of the king came, it was a great news for him.
The Clos Lucé, the summer residence of Francis I, the 21-year-old king of France, became da Vinci's new home.
Francis I gave him a pension of 1,000 golden crowns, which is quite a fortune at the time.
The young King Francis knew that having a great artist and scientist in residence could supercharge his kingdom.
Leonardo was designing canals and water gates to connect France with Italy. He still was working on Mona Lisa.
Leonardo brought great joy to the king, and his intellectual contributions helped make Amboise the cradle of the French Renaissance. But at the age of 67, and possibly due to an acute stroke, Leonardo passed away in this very castle.
So there is a link between France and Italy. But Leonardo is obviously from Tuscany, is Italian, but also now is a European. And is more than that, he's a universal man. And today he belongs to the world.
Besides holding the memory of Leonardo's final years, this chateau is also home to another piece of his legacy.
We can talk about Leonardo without talking about Mona Lisa.
The French king bought the painting after Leonardo's death and put it on display in the bathroom of the palace.
And obviously there were quite a lot of steam. He said they need copy, maybe to replace one day the original.
The president of the Clos Lucé, François Sabri, speculates that for this reason, the 16th century esteemed court artist Ambroise Dubois was tasked to make a copy. 400 years later, in 2010, François acquired this from an art dealer.
After further investigation, we think that this copy is maybe the lost copy of Ambroise Dubois, and is very close from the original. The columns are very sharp. The size is practically exactly the same. And now, obviously, Mona Lisa is still smiling at the Louvre.
France now holds at least 2 Mona Lisas. This helped solidify France's connection to Leonardo's legacy. But it was an act of crime much later on that would catapult the Mona Lisa to become a global icon. The Mona Lisa has been on permanent display at the Louvre since 1797, but it wasn't such an iconic painting as it is today. That all changed in 1911 when one of the greatest art thefts of the 20th century was pulled off.
This odd job man's occasional painter from Italy called Vincenzo Perugia. He's working cleaning glass in the Louvre.
Early morning, the 21st of August, 1911, Perugia entered an empty Louvre. He lifted the frame holding the Mona Lisa off its iron pegs and made his escape. When her absence was discovered, the Paris police sprung into action.
The French poet Guillaume Apollinaire went under suspicion and was imprisoned.
Picasso was rounded up as a suspect.
Perugia took the painting back to Italy, the place he regarded as her rightful home, and where she went on display in the Uffizi Gallery. The Mona Lisa was eventually recovered and returned to the Louvre. But it was this dramatic 2-year disappearance and the publicity that ensued that gave the Mona Lisa the notoriety she now has.
And maybe Vincenzo Perugia wanted to reproduce some copies of the painting following the incredible interest of the public.
出名很重要，一出名就不得了。
It led to several cultural depictions.
Now, almost everyone wants a piece of the Mona Lisa.
我觉得我很幸运的拿到，就是收藏到这个雷利九根的。如果不是我的话，这张画永远搞不好不会出现出来。我不是想炒作这张股票，想卖什么赚钱。这张画应该跟全人类分享。这个可以看他的脸颊有没有，里面都是粉红色的。那这个是不是粉红？有没有？这个光线照下去就看得出来。那各位还有这个，因为这个光线很明显，你就看到，导演说眼睛是光线射进到了眼球，有没有？
even 他的瞳孔都是通彻的，那是蛮令人讶异的。你会觉得，哎，好像在瞳孔里可以看到自己的感觉。
我大概有4次的机会看到那张罗浮宫的蒙娜丽莎，这张比较更接近，让我感觉到比较更接近人的感觉。
我觉得对台湾是一个非常exciting 的事情啊！这么一张漂亮的蒙娜丽莎在台湾出现，我想对国际可以吸引到更大的注目。
Frank is determined to promote his theory that his painting is indeed a younger 23-year-old Lisa, painted by Da Vinci. And its mere existence alone underscores an enduring fact.
It reflects an historical background and attests the popularity and the importance of Leonardo's Mona Lisa.
I would say to the owner, if you enjoy it and you're getting pleasure from it, that's fine.
蒙娜丽莎确实有达文西画画的整个精神所在。人类的艺术是人类的 treasure， 是人类的宝藏。我觉得我有 obligation 给全世界人看，因为这是人类的文化遗产。